mayor or?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I was in Chicago then, and it was really wonderful to come back to Chicago from the University of Pittsburgh. I was teaching library school to be part of the opening of the Harold Washington Library and that move to that new library for him and the first exhibit about Harold Washington. I was able to work on that with a young man from Baltimore, actually, that I had recruited, Colin Murray, who was the first curator of the Harold Washington collection. And John Johnson, Johnson Publishing, funded that exhibit and all the materials that went with it.
Interesting. I did not know that backstory.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So that was quite exciting to have that because at first there really wasn't a formal plan to have something that told the story of Harold Washington, even though it was going to be named after him. And a lot of the people who worked with him, there was a lot of, I could say, pressure that you have to have something that commemorated his legacy.
Right.
You know, he was very, very articulate. And he also went to the same university, Roosevelt University. So they still talk about him and that.
Yeah.
So it was exciting for me to come back because I spent most of my professional career early on at Chicago Public Library.
And how was it coming back in? Because you ran that system.
Basically,
Yeah.
well, I was the chief librarian,
Right. Right.
deputy commissioner. So that's a Chicago title,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Because at the time, and I think it might still be true, the commissioner did not have to have an MLS, and but state law in several states, this continues. They require the operating librarian of a system to get state funding to have an MLS from an accredited library school.
Right.
So that's when in Chicago, when they made the position of commissioner, they had to have a deputy commissioner, chief librarian that was the MLS at Chicago Public Library. A big urban system, but still there were fewer African Americans in that. Alice Scott, I know you heard her name. She was a deputy commissioner. And then Amanda Rudd was the first African American to be the head of Chicago Public. Chicago Public had a rich history. Vivian Harsh, with the Harsh collection that moved from that branch that had Charlamagne Rollins as the children's librarian, and Vivian Harsh started that collection of African American materials. I remember working in Chicago at the Carter G. Woodson branch when it first opened. Well, it was a regional. And I was in the children's section with Annie Lee Carroll. So that was another three named African American woman whose son actually went on to be a reporter, and her grandson is on Jason Carroll, who you see on, I think he's CNN now, is her grandson.
Really?
Annie Lee Carroll, and working with her and just seeing her dedication to all types of young people and their parents, especially the parents, and helping them. And I still remember that. And that was a role model for me, that it's not just the child, it's who brought the child in and how can we help that person. So while she was doing the picture books with the kids, she might talk to the mom about, okay, well, there's the housing department has some stuff that's going on, and so he'll be okay over here. Why don't you go down to the workshop that's happening now? And she started a lot of programs where you had story hour, but then you had things for the parents and caregivers at the same time, bringing in health people, all kinds of people to talk with the parents.